I was looking at the crypto charts this morning, and it really struck me that for the last, what is it, 8 years?
Yeah, about 8 years.
Right, 8 years, Cardano has carried this very specific, honestly, very heavy stereotype. Like, if the blockchain world was a university campus, you know,
I know exactly where you're going with this.
right, so Bitcoin is the tenured professor who hasn't changed his syllabus in 15 years.
He's just reading from the same textbook.
Exactly. And Ethereum is the frantic grad student, right? Super brilliant, but their dorm room is just an absolute mess of wires and half-finished prototypes.
Constantly putting out small fires in the corner of the room.
Yeah. And then Solana is the varsity athlete. Fast, flaky, probably chugs a few too many energy drinks and crashes occasionally.
Definite crashes. And Cardano.
Well, Cardano has always been the guy in the back of the library wearing the tweed jacket. You know the one. He's peer reviewing every single sentence before he even thinks about writing a line of code.
Oh, yeah. The measure twice, cut once approach.
Right.
Or actually, in their case, it's more like measure 1,000 times, publish 3 peer-reviewed papers about the measuring tape, and then maybe cut.
Exactly. And for a long time, the critics just absolutely hammered them for it. You'd hear vaporware, ghost chain, all that stuff constantly on Twitter.
Yeah, the slow and steady narrative wasn't super popular in a bull run.
No, it wasn't. But looking at the stack of research you sent over for today's deep dive, I think we might finally have to retire the tweed jacket. Because it is February 21, 2026, and the vibe has completely shifted.
It really has.
Yeah.
If we stick with your university analogy for a second, today's deep dive is basically about graduation day.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, this is the moment that the perpetual student finally gets the diploma, puts on a really nice tailored Italian suit, and walks aggressively into the boardroom to just take over the company.
Wow. Okay, so today we are unpacking the Cardano roadmap for 2026. And we're going to look at what they are calling Vision 2030, which seems to be the guiding star for everything they're doing right now.
It's the blueprint, yeah.
We need to talk about the tech overhaul, too, specifically Midnight and Laos, because those are, well, they're finally live or launching soon.
Huge milestones.
And of course, we have to talk about the money, because there is a massive financial pivot happening literally this month.
It is a massive pivot, and honestly, it's a bit overdue. Because for the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025, we were deep in the Voltaire era.
The governance stuff.
Right. It was all about governance, voting, setting up this massive digital democracy. And that's great. It's really important for decentralization. But 2026, the whole mission statement has changed.
How so?
Well, it's no longer just, let's build a perfect mathematically sound system. Now it's, let's build a commercially viable product.
Right, so they're done building the engine. Now they actually want to win the Formula One race.
Exactly.
And they've actually put hard numbers on the board this time, which is what really caught my eye. Usually these crypto roadmaps are just vague buzzwords. We're going to increase synergy and drive adoption.
Lots of corporate speak, yeah.
But I was surprised to see very specific KPIs, key performance indicators, set for 2030.
Very concrete numbers. They are aiming for 324 million annual transactions.
Which is wild.
It is. And they want 1 million monthly active wallets, which, if you know the industry averages for truly active users, is a huge step up.
Yeah, that's not just holding a bag. That's people actually doing stuff on chain.
Right. And maybe the most critical one, especially for the folks listening to us who care about the financial metrics, they are targeting $3 billion in total value locked. TVL.
3 billion locked. That is a serious number. But okay, here is my skepticism, and I really want to push back on this early so you can explain it to me.
Go for it.
You can't just peer review your way to 300 million transactions. We've seen Cardano struggle with congestion in the past. Like when a big NFT drop happens or a DEX launches, things get bogged down. If they want to hit those massive numbers, the tech has to fundamentally change. It can't just be a quick software patch.
No, you're absolutely right. The old architecture simply wouldn't handle that kind of volume. Period. And that is exactly why the tech stack section of this 2026 roadmap is so vital.
Okay.
It basically rests on 2 main pillars, privacy and speed. And the first one getting all the buzz right now, is Midnight.
Right, Midnight. It sounds like a superhero movie or maybe a fancy cologne.
It does have that branding feel to it.
But in the docs, Charles Hoskinson calls this the most valuable asset for Cardano in 2026. That's a massive claim given everything else they've been building for almost a decade. What actually is it? Is it just a sidechain?
Well, as a sidechain, yes. But calling it just a sidechain kind of misses the whole point. Think about the biggest hurdle for institutional adoption of crypto right now. Why hasn't JP Morgan or, say, Apple fully moved their operations onto a public blockchain?
Oh, because they don't want their competitors seeing all their supply chain payments. Like if I'm Apple, I definitely don't want Samsung seeing exactly how much I'm paying for OLED screens in real time.
Exactly. Transparency is a feature for us,
Mhm.
but it's a massive bug for them. Right. But here is the catch-22 they face. They also can't just use privacy coins like Monero.
Well, yeah, because if you use Monero, the regulators come knocking immediately. They're going to assume you're laundering money for a cartel.
Precisely. So institutions are basically stuck. They can't use public chains because they're way too open, and they can't use privacy chains because they're way too dark. Midnight is designed to solve this exact paradox using zero-knowledge technology, ZK proofs.
Okay, we hear ZK proofs thrown around constantly in crypto. Can we just pause for a second and actually explain what that means to the listener in this specific context? How does it actually solve that paradox?
Sure. Okay. Imagine you were at a nightclub.
Okay.
The bouncer needs to know you are over 21 to let you in. In the traditional world, you hand him your driver's license. He sees you're over 21, but he also sees your full name, your home address, your exact height, and whether you're an organ donor.
He sees everything.
Right. That is how a public blockchain works. It's way too much info.
Yeah, I don't need the bouncer knowing where I live.
Exactly. Now, a zero-knowledge proof is like having a magic scanner. You scan your ID on it, and the bouncer's machine just lights up with a green check mark. It proves mathematically that you are over 21, but the bouncer learns absolutely nothing else about you.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. He doesn't know your name, doesn't know your address. He just knows that the condition over 21 is true.
So applying that to Midnight, a bank could prove to a regulator, yes, these funds are clean, and yes, we followed all the KYC rules, without having to broadcast to the entire world, hey, we just sent $50 million to this specific supplier in Taiwan.
Bingo. It's what they're calling smart privacy. It heavily targets real-world assets, RWAs, and enterprise needs. It keeps the data private so trade secrets are safe, but it provides enterprise-grade tools to prove compliance if an auditor comes knocking.
So it's like a bank vault, but it has a tiny glass window that only the regulator has the key to uncover. For everyone else, it's just solid steel.
That's a great way to put it. And for 2026, launching the Midnight Mainnet is the primary strategy to get that massive institutional money flowing into the ecosystem.
And this seems like but privacy doesn't really matter if the network is so clogged that the transaction takes hours.
Right. Which brings us perfectly to pillar number 2, speed. Because if you're an institution waiting an hour for a payment to finalize, you don't care how private it is, you're just not going to use it.
And that is where Ouroboros Laos comes in.
Yes, Ouroboros Laos.
Laos sounds Greek.
It is Greek, and this is Cardano's silver bullet for the scalability problem. The target metric here is to hit greater than 1,000 transactions per second, 1,000 TPS.
Okay, 1,000 TPS on a decentralized layer 1 is really fast. But how? I remember back in the day, every time a blockchain tried to just speed things up, they ran into massive security issues or centralization. What makes Laos different from just, I don't know, making the blocks bigger?
This is where we have to get just a little bit technical, but I promise it's fascinating.
Lay it on me.
Laos fundamentally changes how the blockchain actually constructs its blocks. In the current system, and this is true for Bitcoin and Ethereum too, the same node who gathers the transactions also has to validate them and then pack them into a block.
So it's a bottleneck.
A huge one. It's like having a chef in a restaurant who has to chop all the vegetables, cook the meal, plate it, and then walk out and serve it to the table.
One guy doing 4 jobs. Extremely slow.
Exactly. What Laos does is split these jobs up. It introduces these things called input endorsers. You think of them like the sous chefs.
Okay.
Their only job is to prep the ingredients. They just verify the transactions and bundle them up. And they are doing this constantly in parallel, super fast.
So you just have a kitchen full of sous chefs chopping veggies like maniacs in the background.
Yes. And then the block producer, the head chef, just takes those pre-bundled, pre-verified ingredients and throws them straight into the block. They don't have to stop and check every single potato. The sous chefs already did that.
That makes total sense. So you're basically parallelizing the workload.
Correct. You separate the data transmission from the actual consensus. And we actually saw the warm-up for this back in 2025.
Did we?
Yeah, remember the Paris update? That was the one that reduced finality, the time it takes for a transaction to become totally irreversible from hours down to just minutes.
Right.
And then there was Mithril V1, which allowed for those ultra-fast light wallets that sync almost instantly. Those were basically the training wheels for this new architecture. Laos is the Tour de France bike.
Okay, so we've got the privacy vault with Midnight, and we've got the high-speed rail with Laos. But man, here is the elephant in the room for Cardano.
Let's hear it.
You can build the most high-tech, private, lightning-fast skyscraper in the entire world, but if nobody actually moves their business in, it's just a giant ghost town. And historically, Cardano's building has been a bit empty when it comes to liquidity.
You're not wrong at all.
Uh.
That has undeniably been their Achilles heel. If
Mhm.
you looked at Ethereum or Solana over the last few years, the liquidity, just the sheer amount of monetary value flowing through their DeFi systems completely dwarfed Cardano.
Yeah, if you wanted to trade large amounts on a Cardano DX, the slippage was a nightmare.
It was. So the 2026 roadmap has a very specific section dedicated to this. They call it the financial pivot. And the headline here is something that is launching literally late this month, February 2026.
Okay.
It's called USDCX.
I saw that in the notes. Now, I know USDC, obviously. It's the Circle stablecoin, arguably the most trusted one out there. But what is the X? Is it just a cool branding thing, like Elon Musk adding an X to everything?
No, it's actually highly functional. The X effectively stands for that privacy layer we just talked about. It is Circle's privacy-focused stablecoin, launching natively on Cardano.
Wait, hold on. Circle is a heavily regulated U.S. company based in Boston, right?
Yeah.
They are launching a privacy coin. That sounds incredibly bold in today's regulatory climate.
It is bold, but it ties perfectly back to Midnight. Because Midnight allows for that selective regulatory view, the glass window in the Vault Circle can comfortably issue a token that has robust privacy features for the actual user, but strict compliance features for the issuer.
Ah, okay.
And this launch allows for instant, seamless conversion between standard USDC and USDCX right there on Cardano.
That is actually huge. Because if I'm running a business, I really don't want to pay my employees or my vendors in ADA or Bitcoin, where the price might drop 10% by lunchtime.
You need stability.
I want dollars,
Yeah.
but I also don't want everyone on Twitter to be able to look up my wallet and see my entire payroll.
Exactly. Stablecoins are the lifeblood of decentralized finance. By bringing a major, fully regulated stablecoin like USDC directly into the ecosystem and giving it privacy, they're removing massive friction for enterprises.
But they aren't just waiting around for Circle to save them, are they?
No, the Cardano Foundation is putting some serious skin in the game themselves.
I saw that the 8-figure injection.
Yes, they authorize an injection of tens of millions of dollars worth of ADA specifically to boost DeFi liquidity and stablecoin pools.
That is what you call priming the pump.
It is. And they've also committed up to $2 million ADA to a new venture hub to directly support startups building on the chain. So it's a two-pronged strategy. Attack the problem top-down with USDCX and institutional money, and bottom-up by aggressively funding the grassroots developers.
Okay, so they're fixing their own house. They've got the speed, the privacy, the liquidity. But here is where the roadmap gets really interesting to me. It mentions a crossover event.
Yes.
And usually in the crypto space, crossover means like some lame partnership with a sneaker brand that nobody cares about. But this actually involves Bitcoin.
This is, in my opinion, the single most strategic chess move in the entire 2026 plan. They are aggressively pursuing Bitcoin interoperability.
Which is wild to think about because historically, Bitcoin maxes and Cardano fans interact on social media like oil and water. They absolutely hate each other.
They really do. But the logic here isn't emotional. It is purely economic. There is an estimated $1 trillion of capital sitting completely dormant in Bitcoin. It's just sitting there.
Because Bitcoin doesn't really do DeFi. It doesn't have smart contracts. You just hold it.
Right. Cardano wants to tap into that $1 trillion volcano. They want to allow Bitcoin holders to easily use their BTC inside Cardano's DeFi ecosystem, to lend it, to borrow against it, to earn yield.
Okay, play devil's advocate for me here. We have seen wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum for years, and we've seen cross-chain bridges get hacked for billions of dollars. If I am a hardcore Bitcoin holder, why on earth would I trust Cardano with my stack?
That is exactly the right question to ask, and the answer lies in how they are doing it.
Yeah.
They aren't just using a standard multi-sig bridge where you basically have to trust 5 guys in a room with a key not to run off with the money.
Right, the honeypot problem.
Exactly. They're using advanced integration layers like Bitcoin OS and Bifrost.
How is that actually different from a bridge?
Well, Bitcoin OS, for example, allows Cardano to verify Bitcoin block headers directly via math, using zero-knowledge proofs again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it effectively means the Cardano blockchain can independently read the Bitcoin blockchain without needing any middleman to tell it what's happening. It's totally trustless.
So if I'm a Bitcoin maxi, I don't have to trust some centralized bridge company. I just have to trust the math and the code, which, let's be honest, is the only thing Bitcoiners actually trust anyway.
Exactly. They're pitching Cardano as the ultimate infrastructure layer for Bitcoin. The pitch is basically, keep your Bitcoin, don't sell it, but come play in our yard. We use the same exact accounting model, UTXO. We care about peer-reviewed security just like you do, but we actually have fast apps and yield.
That is such a clever pivot. It's not Cardano versus Bitcoin anymore. It's Cardano powered by Bitcoin.
Right. But again, you can have the absolute best tech and the smartest bridge strategy, but if nobody in the world knows about it, the project dies. Which brings us to the marketing section of the roadmap.
Right, because Cardano has always been accused of being notoriously bad at marketing. Or rather, their marketing was just Charles Hoskinson talking to a webcam on YouTube for 2 hours.
Which worked really well for a while. It built a fiercely loyal community. But you need a lot more than that for global institutional scale. The 2026 roadmap includes a 12% increase in the marketing budget, and they are specifically calling it demand generation.
12% sounds like a decent bump, but where is it actually going? Are we talking Super Bowl ads with celebrities?
No, thankfully no. It seems much more targeted than that. They're focusing on inbound marketing, strategic paid ads, and establishing a massive presence at major industry events. Think Token 2049 Consensus and the Africa Tech Summit 2026.
Africa. That has always been a core part of their identity since the beginning.
It has. And doubling down on the Africa Tech Summit suggests they still really see real-world utility in emerging markets as a key differentiator. But the interesting part to me isn't just where the money's going. It's who actually approved that budget.
Oh, this brings us right back to Voltaire.
The governance era. Remember, there is no CEO of Cardano anymore. There's no single person signing checks. The community controls the treasury. This marketing budget wasn't decided in a corporate boardroom. It was proposed and voted on by the network.
And this leads to the DREPs, right? The decentralized representatives.
Yes. The roadmap details a major push to delegate an additional 220 million ADA to these DREPs.
Can you explain that concept for the listener for a second? Because pure democracy sounds really great on paper, but have you ever tried to decide on a restaurant with 10 of your friends?
It's an absolute nightmare.
Right. Now imagine doing that with 1 million people and $1 billion treasury.
That is the exact problem the Voltaire model is trying to solve. Most people simply don't have the time or the expertise to read and research every single technical proposal about marketing budgets or node updates. So, you delegate your voting power to a DREP, someone you trust to be informed and aligned with your views.
Like a representative democracy.
Exactly. By delegating this massive chunk of ADA, they're trying to empower these representatives to actually steer the ship efficiently, rather than getting bogged down.
So it prevents the gridlock of everyone just shouting at once in the town square.
That is the hope.
Yeah.
But this is also where we really have to talk about the risks. Because looking at this roadmap, it is incredibly ambitious. And frankly, a lot could go wrong.
I'm really glad you went there, because I'm looking at this list. Midnight, Leos, USDCX, trustless Bitcoin integration, DREPs. It's a massive amount of moving parts for 1 year. What is the biggest danger here?
Well, the first is simply technical execution. We just have to be honest. Cardano has a long history of missing deadlines.
Yeah, peer-reviewed often translates to 2 years late.
Exactly. Midnight and Leos are incredibly complex pieces of computer science. ZK proofs in particular are notoriously difficult to implement correctly at a global scale. If Leos is supposed to launch in Q3 and it slips to 2027, that momentum just evaporates.
And the market isn't waiting around for them to get it right.
Not at all. That is the second major risk: competition. While Cardano spent the last 2 years carefully building its perfect governance system, chains like Solana and Sui have been aggressively gobbling up users and developers. Ethereum Layer 2s, like Base, are absolutely exploding right now.
Yeah, they already have the speed and the liquidity that Cardano is trying to build right now.
Exactly.
It's kind of like showing up to the party at 11 p.m. You brought the absolute best craft beer, but everyone is already 3 drinks deep on the cheap stuff and they just might not want to switch.
That's a perfect analogy. And that leads directly to the adoption gap. We talked about that 12% marketing budget. The critical question is, will it actually convert? You can spend millions of dollars on targeted ads, but if a new user comes over and the user experience is even a little clunky or the liquidity isn't quite there yet, they leave and they never come back.
And then there is the governance risk we just touched on with the DREPs.
Yes. Decentralized governance is a beautiful concept in theory, but it can be really messy in practice. What if the community actively votes against a critical technical upgrade because they don't understand it? Or what if the D-reps get polarized into political factions?
Right.
Speed of decision-making is a massive competitive advantage in tech. And total decentralization can sometimes act like a heavy anchor.
It's a double-edged sword. You get the incredible security and community buy-in, but you lose the agility of a centralized competitor who can just have their CEO say, do this by Friday, and it happens.
Exactly. 2026 is the ultimate test. It is the year we finally find out if a decentralized collective can actually run a commercially viable tech giant.
So, zooming out from all the tech and the budgets, what does this all really mean for you, the person listening to this right now, while commuting or at the gym?
It means 2026 is the product market fit year, period. For a decade, Cardano has been sold on academic promise and doing things the right way. This roadmap is their aggressive attempt to shake off that label entirely and become a commercial powerhouse.
It's put up or shut up time.
Basically, yeah. If they hit these milestones, if USDCX takes off, if Midnight actually brings in the banks, if Leos really hits 1,000 TPS, seamlessly analysts see a massive repricing event. We're talking about recovering the $1 plus range and potentially challenging the top 3 spots in crypto again.
But if they miss?
If they miss or the tech breaks under pressure, that reputation of being slow and purely theoretical might stick forever. And in the crypto space, forever is a death sentence.
The stakes honestly couldn't be higher for them. It is going to be incredibly fascinating to watch this unfold over the next 10 months. I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to chew on today. We talked a lot about complexity on this deep dive. Zero-knowledge proofs, split-stream processing, decentralized governance models.
Right. Very dense stuff.
We usually think the winner in the tech sector is the one who is fastest and simplest. Just make it easy to use. But here's the question. In a world where AI is constantly scraping our data and financial regulations are tightening in every major country, is the sheer complexity of privacy actually the killer app? Is the tweed jacket approach, moving slowly to ensure perfect compliance and security, actually the only strategy that survives the next decade of harsh regulation? Or will they just get outrun by the guys in the sneakers who move fast and break things?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. And frankly, 2026 is going to give us the answer.
We will certainly be watching those charts and that roadmap very closely. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
See you next time.